Thank you guys all for being here. Pastor, in a letter that he recently wrote and sent out to the congregation and in the email that also went out, quoted Ezekiel saying, "Like the rainbow in a cloud on a rainy day, this was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord." And I think after coming back to this place, after so long being away, so long being in our rooms watching this on YouTube, I think we've all felt the power of being together as members of the body of Christ. So this is such a wonderful time, I think, to have this discussion while we're kind of the newness is still there of us being back together. The problem is sort of obvious. Over the last couple of years, we've had accelerating damage near the stained glass. The appearance of the damage is on the inside where we sit here, but the cause of it is on the outside. The problem is really sort of a three-step problem. One problem is that the capstones that are at the top of the roof are too short. And so when water collects in the capstones and comes down, it doesn't separate from the wall. It actually pours right into the wall. And over a really long time, as that water continues to go into the brick, this brick actually holds that water and it comes to the inside of the building and creates that damage that you see there. And so that's the sort of the outline of the problem. The solution, we've had a number of masons come here and all give their independent assessments of the problem itself. We've had support from one of our volunteers in the Hot Meals program, Chris Knight, who in his day job is also a general contractor. And through speaking to all of these masons, we've really been able to break the problem into sort of three distinct phases. The first piece that you're gonna see is sort of the protect phase. So we're not gonna be able to get this work done during the winter here. We're gonna have to wait till the spring out of practicality for when these masons are available and when it's safe to do the work. However, you will likely see tarp go up to actually prevent the water from continuing to seep into the brick. So that's sort of the fastest solution to preventing the damage from getting any worse. The next piece is when we start work in the spring, we're gonna have an approach to fix the capstones. There's multiple different ways of doing that, and we're currently sort of debating that and looking at sort of the cost-benefit analysis with each of the individual masons to identify exactly what our approach will be. But there will be an approach to make sure that when water comes on those capstones that it separates from the wall and doesn't go into the brick. The second piece is there will be some repairs on the actual brick itself. So we'll get some reparation tuck pointing done to ensure that any cracks that are actually in the brick, that we spot tuck point those to prevent the water from going into the wall. And then lastly, we'll put sealant on the brick. And so that will provide sort of a longer term solution to preventing the water from absorbing through. So the good news is, we're very close to identifying the mason that we're gonna actually have do this work. He's an excellent man, provided a really, really thorough solution. And I think when we get through this process, this will not be a problem that we pass on to the next generation. I think this will solve the problem for 20 or 30 years. And so your support is absolutely vital to getting this work done now so that we can prevent this damage from happening. We can preserve this place that has been a pillar in our community for 70 years. And we can solve a big problem that's been really hampering this church for over 5 to 10 years. We can solve that problem and not pass it on to the next group of people that comes in here and worships over time. From a cost perspective, you probably saw in the letter that we laid out $50K. When looking at all the masons and all the various options, we think that that's the most prudent number to provide at this point. We're going to continue to update that, and of course it's in our utmost to drive that cost down as much as we possibly can. But we thought for the external work that needed to be done and having all the options on the table to solve the capstone problem, and then also being able to have some money left over to actually repair what's inside the building, that $50K would be the most prudent number that we could provide at this point. From here on out, you'll be continuing to hear about this. So we're trying to sort of layer this out. Pastor kind of started talking about this a few weeks ago. We sent letters out. I'm speaking here today. As we select the mason, we're going to have him come to the coffee hour and provide a very detailed presentation on the final solution that we arrive at, so that any of you that have any questions or concerns about our process or about the actual approach will have the opportunity to ask those questions. With that, that's all I have to say. If you have any questions about this or you want to talk in more detail about it, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm always available to answer your questions, and I can talk you through some of the more specific details involved in this project.